Hello, this training is for the SAP Central Finance Frequently Asked Questions based on SAP Note 2184567. We start by the note content, then go a step further detailing mentioned notes and documents, and finally add information from lessons learned and our experience. This is a good reference to see what is possible with Central Finance, the best practices, the limitations, the constraints to consider, and important topics for project implementation. Please consider this course as an open forum. All questions and feedback are welcome. Question 51. What should be considered regarding GL accounts mapping? When the GL account mappings are not harmonized, you will face errors during initial loads, replications, and follow-on processes. The GL accounts mapped as targets in Central Finance must have settings compatible with the source ECC GL accounts. The following cases are relevant to the harmonization of GL accounts. Balance sheet accounts in the source system must be mapped to a balance sheet account in the Central Finance system. PL account in the source system must be mapped to a PL account in the Central Finance system. Open Item Managed GL accounts from the source system must be mapped to Open Item Managed GL accounts in the Central Finance system. GL account with the setting Only Managed Balances in Local Currency field must be mapped to a GL account with the identical setting. GL account with the setting Ledger Group Specific Clearing field must be mapped to a GL account with the identical setting. There's a document on GL harmonization. The GL harmonization documents guides you through important harmonization topics for GL accounts such as field status, account groups, currency, open item management, etc. On cost elements, an important topic is the cost element category and the differences between ECC cost elements and S/4HANA ones. Considerations around chart of account design and mapping. During the chart of account discussions around mapping, there are some important topics to consider, and those will affect both the effort required and the duration of this specific effort. Let's dive into these topics. Are you happy with the current chart of accounts? You should consider if your chart of accounts meets all your requirements and consider the S/4HANA functionality and pre-delivered content that will make it possible to rationalize the chart of accounts and possibly reduce its volume. You need to do an exercise of harmonization analysis of your current chart of accounts. Important fields such as Open Item Managed, Account Currency, Clearing Specific to Ledger Group, Managed Balance in Local Currency should be analyzed. Is the same account in different company codes having a different Open Item indicator, for example? This harmonization exercise is required because these accounts will be mapped to Central Finance accounts, and if their harmonization fields diverge between company codes, the same account will have to be mapped to separate accounts in Central Finance to ensure consistency. Part of this harmonization analysis leads to the decision whether to harmonize the accounts in the source system or not. One approach could be to change the accounts in the source system to make sure an account is consistent across all company codes. This can be difficult sometimes. Changing the Open Item Managed indicator requires a considerable amount of time, SAP notes, etc. Another approach is to sunset the inconsistent accounts in the source system and create new ones that are consistent. This also requires some effort, change management, transfers between accounts, etc. A third approach would be to leave it as it is in the source system and map to different accounts in Central Finance depending on the harmonization indicators. Would you be willing to adopt the best practices chart of account YCOA? The best practices chart of account YCOA is modeled for S/4HANA, and it is a compact chart of accounts that takes advantage of all the attributes of the Universal Ledger, keeping it compact and as a good starting point for a real client chart of accounts. With the YCOA chart of accounts, there are pre-configured settings in the system that may be time savers, for example, automatic postings or pre-delivered content. If you decide to use the best practices chart of accounts, you need to do a gap analysis exercise to fit map your current chart of accounts. In this mapping enhancement exercise, you need to incorporate the required harmonizations of GL accounts indicators. As a final thought, Please consider the effort that a chart of accounts redesign or optimization will require and the benefits it will bring against all the priorities in the project. But always bear in mind that the chart of accounts harmonization and mapping requires substantial effort in the project and should be designed as much as possible in the early stages of the project.